interesting. You said something about the when you run for, because I never was a political guy or understood all the landscape of it, right?
Yeah.
I know I deal with just people, right? And it's crazy because every time you be like, say if I'm in the club talking to you, then you might see somebody else say, man, I don't mess with him because he mess with Trayon. Then you might be somewhere to eating dinner with somebody and somebody speak, take a picture. So why is it so divisive in the why is it looked at that you can't communicate with certain people or have personal relationship with people? Why does it look like that in the politician world?
It ain't the politician world. That's just people in general, man.
Right,
It's politicians world too, but it's spilling over. That's like right now we got youngest beefing because he in a rap song with this guy.
Right.
And they saying you with the ops, so
Right.
y'all want to shoot him because he doing an album with it. It ain't just it's dynamics of a slave mentality.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
And it manifests in different fields, but it's the same thinking, man.
Right.
And we have to be confident and self-aware enough to know that, man, just because this person is affiliated with this person, don't mean it. Like I heard you said you did an interview on one of the platforms, and you was like people was saying you was affiliated with somebody who was a rap. You was like, I know pedophiles and rapists. That don't mean that got nothing to do with me.
Right.
But
Yeah.
people in there thinking, small-minded people
can't
think above, a holistic person and can't stand on their own. And so people got to assimilate to fit in or seem to fit in to kind of get ahead. And so it manifests in politics in different ways. But the reality is, Dr. King said something that was so crucial. He said we must learn to have unity or be non-existent. And we move in a place in D.C. where we talk about gentrification all the time. And now we're in a place now where we talk about genocide, man. Because we have some of the highest health disparities per capita in the country as relates to African Americans in D.C., right? We dying at alarming rates when it comes to infant mortality rates, health disparities, homicides, suicides, drug abuse, overdoses. So we got a lot of elements that's eating away at us every day, so we can't afford to be divided right now.
Right.
Yeah, the population of blacks is shrinking. We used to be Chocolate City. Right. We done went from over 70% to less than 50%.
Right.
Yeah.
And that leads me to my next question. What's your thoughts on the gentrification, the whole process of it, and what's going on?
I feel like if we don't do something drastic right now to turn it around, then it's going to get increasingly worse for black people, man. Right now, we're in budget season in D.C. Well, we just received the budget from the mayor. You got to think about it like this, and most people don't know this. Like, we have an emergency fund called ERAP. Emergency Rental Assistance Program. It's designed to help people who are struggling with their rent. Historically, we spent almost $40 million in 8 months. Now we have $8 million for a whole year. We spent $8 million in 2-3 months.
Right.
So how are we going to have $8 million for 12 months?
Right.
And so you see the housing prices in DC is skyrocketing, and the income's not aligning with those prices. And so we building a DC that's not for people that don't have no money. It don't matter what color it is. And in DC, it's known that the wealth gap between blacks and whites is at 81% higher for white families than black families. And so this is the nation's capital where it's expensive to live, man. And so we don't come together and build some bridges using government resources and programs. Like I was talking to Jahar and Tone White the other day, man, and we was joking about it was some developers. They were saying they needed money from the government.
Okay.
And they was laughing because I told them that you asking for welfare. Like y'all shun people who get public assistance and welfare, but right now you guys want some welfare from the government.
Right.
It's the same thing.
Right.
Y'all enriching yourselves, man.
Right.
And so we was joking about that, but the reality is like there are so many things set up to help different people, but when it comes to our people, it's like, oh, we can't do that, or it's too. And I was thinking about when Murray used to have like the MBE program helping minority businesses, right? During that time, I was around, and the DC budget was about $8 billion. Right now, Kirk, the DC budget is $19.7 billion. So what we talking about? Like, come on, man.
Right.
Like we doing less when we got more. And I'm not gonna let that just ride like that. And so we fighting tooth and nails with my council colleagues, with the mayor, trying to make sure we push it past equality. We pass equality. We talking about equity. We need more because historically we got less. And I was talking to Kirk about Murray and how he set the precedence to say that we got to give people a chance, man. Not with a hand out, with a hand up, because somebody did that for us along the way. I know they did for me. I wouldn't be here just because osmosis. God divinely sent people in my way and in my path to give me a way out. And I promise God I'll never leave it. I continue to work in this community until I can't work no more.
Yeah, you holding your end up. I'll tell you that, man.
Man.
You hold your end up, man.
Whew.
With the what's any with the truancy, man, and the junior highs and high school and all that. Any ideas of how to tackle that? What's some of the things you think can help with that?
Man, schools ain't really keeping kids entertained no more, man. Man, it's at a place where, you know, it's a certain way you can, first of all, we removed a lot of the historically African-American teachers from the schools, right? Let's just say what the truth is. We closed down over 22 schools in the last 16, 17 years, right? Say we wasn't closing down, we was consolidating to bring more resources to school. Yet we at a place where the schools still don't have resources. Right now, I'm fighting right now because 22 schools in my ward is slated to get less funding than they had last year with almost the same kids they had last year. On a budget with a $19.7 billion budget. Yet if we don't build a strong foundation through education, that's the basis of any strong community, education. Right? And this is my ward. We talking about this over 70-something schools throughout the district that's going to be underfunded next year. Right? And if we not innovative, teaching trades, teaching skills, teaching something we got to begin with the end in mind. They got to know once they graduate, they got a place in D.C. D.C. is graduating almost 30% of their kids out of high school in 4 years. 9% graduate from college. Then you got to think about D.C. is the second most degree place in the United States. So we got people coming here to go to Howard, American University, UDC, Trinity, GW, and some of these people staying here competing for the job market. With indigenous people here are trying to find their way. And so we have to we know what's going on, but we have to build the systems and the education system to fix, cut in, to say, man, if we know that the hospitality industry booming, we need to do a hospitality schools.
Yes.
And shout out to Thomas Penny. They've done a lot of that in some of the schools along the way, but it's not to a place where we are putting all our resources behind our kids and showing they got a future here in the city. And if they don't, man, we imploding on each other.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's powerful, man. What do you tell a young kid that's hanging in the community, chilling around his way, and he encounter a very aggressive cop that being aggressive verbally and physically? What you tell him to do? How do you handle that situation?
The one thing I tell him, man, you can't win in the streets. You know what I'm saying? I'm a victim of police brutality. I was hospitalized twice and assaulted by a police officer twice. I had to sue DC twice after being a victim of police brutality. You know, and I'm 5 feet 2, probably 130 pounds soaking wet, so I don't pose no physical threat. I'm not in the streets, you know what I'm saying? And it happened to me, so I can imagine what's happening every day. But I tell the youngest, because we're in the social media age where you want to record, you know what I'm saying? There's a lot of taunting with the police. But I'm just telling the youngest, man, you can't win in the streets. You got to beat them in court.
Right.
And you got to think before you move. And so not all the times that's happening. I just went to a funeral of a young man. It was a Saturday. He was killed by park police over there in Northeast. He was in the car, pulled all the police, shot him in the back multiple times. And so, you know, we facing some new dynamics in the city where it's been happening, but it's being caught on camera now. And if not somebody recording, then we got body worn cameras that's capturing it. And so I say to them, man, listen, know your laws, because if you don't know your laws, you don't have any. You know, and we in the information age, but we got the information we need to get us to the next level on our phone in our pocket.
Right.
But most of us ain't reading, and most of us ain't. They say you want to hide something from a black man.
Put it in the book.
Put it in the book, man. Because most of us ain't even going to open it and read it, man. So I try to empower them to know who they are personally. And, you know, because a lot of youngers crashing because they don't know their true potential. And they don't know what they can do in the future. So they just thinking about the here and now. You know how it is when you're young. You in the mix, you in the flow, you just trying to survive. And so I try to inspire them that there is a future beyond if you can see yourself getting there.
Right.
But there's no vision that people purge. And so I got to try to give them vision. Right. I run a foundation now. I work in 2 middle schools, Kramer and Johnson. Okay. You know, I also we just started a ministry inside of DC jail as well, with some of the brothers. So I mean, it's a struggle, Kurt. Right. You know how it is.
Right.
Yeah.
Define in your eyes what is a bad cop and what is a good cop.
What is a bad cop and what is a good cop? Well, it's always in every profession you're gonna have good people and bad people.
Agree.
It don't matter if you're working at the DMV, if you street cleaning or you working inside if you're a teacher in the school. The reality is that a lot of the bad cops make it bad for the good cops,
Right. Yeah.
right? And people lose trust. And I had this conversation. I had this conversation the other day with a white shirt. We had I was on Livingston Road walking my kids to the park, and I sent my family home. Well, I was talking to some guys out there. When they got up the street, all I heard was gunshots going. I hopped in my car, ran around there, and it was a shootout going back and forth. And the cop was saying one thing that was inconsistent with what the grandmother was there telling me was going on. And I'm like, she know because she was here, man. You got here after me.
Right.
And I was just telling him, like, even in this situation as a superior officer, you gotta have some cultural sensitivity to the community and be able to hear what they saying, because she could have died. Now, mind you, this grandma got her grandkids coming up, they gonna hang her. They thought their grandmother got shot. And I was like, it's a certain way you gotta handle this community. And because what you do in moderation, they're gonna do in access. And you seen as a white shirt, they expect you to, and he did well. He ended up handling the situation, but I had to put him to the side and we talked through it. And some of the things he said was right. And some things they were saying from the community side to me wasn't accurate because they had everything on camera. I didn't know that at the time, but it's sometimes you gotta be patient, let everything play out. But sometimes these officers are too aggressive. You know what I'm saying? You being aggressive with these young guys, or even the girls. The girls turning up too. They're gonna be aggressive back. So I define a good cop as an officer that really care. See, one thing we gotta do in DC, we gotta hire more people from DC to work in DC.
Right.
More than half of our police force don't live in DC, never lived in DC, and don't really have the empathy for the residents of DC. And I think that's a problem. I actually like the new police chief, Conti. You know Conti?
Yeah, he grew up around
Yeah, he's from your, he's solid.
Oh yeah,
man.
no, good dude. He gonna come.
Oh, he gonna come.
I watched him grow up.
So I think that's critical that you got that. What we find in DC, we got a lot of people who lead in DC that's not from DC.
Right.
And so I'm happy that we have a police chief in DC that came through public housing.
Right,
You know what I'm saying? Came from around your way in the streets.
Our street, our street, Northeast,
That's special.
21st.
And so we need guys like him to understand who he elevating leadership to help deal with the culture and the climate of what's going on in the streets, man. You can't always match 5 with 5. And that's on both ends, from the streets to the police department, man. And we gotta hold each other accountable. Like if the officer doing something wrong, we gotta hold him or her accountable. But the same thing with the streets. We gotta hold him or her accountable. And it gotta go both ways.
Both ways.
And people don't wanna hear that. And that's why I draw the line, because I'm gonna stand on what's right no matter what. And people don't know, it ain't always popular staying on what's righteous. You know what I'm saying? I take a lot of heat. You know, that happened to me recently, but I just take it on the chin.
Right. But that would make you who you are, though.
Oh,
you know what I'm saying? You built for it. And like you say, it's almost got to find a way to make that communication piece with the police. We ain't saying you got to go to dinner or hang out or party, but you got to have, it got to be a communication where you come through the door. Because a little quick short story, I was driving one day coming up 17th Street about to turn the Handkerchief Mall. So my car come behind me. I ain't seen her. I guess she wanted to get around. So I'm waiting for the trapper to come.
Yeah.
She put the high rays on. So I looked back. She started me a little bit. She pulled aside. I say, "Get your MF off this goddamn street." Pulled up 10 yards and turned the light off. It was just driving. So I'm saying to myself, "Hold on, man. I went behind her." So she going to 50D. I'm right behind her. She going to, I guess the car's going 50D behind the back. Yeah. I park and going inside. So now I'm like, shit, man, I'm paying taxes. I ain't breaking on low. I ain't doing nothing right. And I went and I say, man, look, it's a detective lady. She about to come in there. We need to talk, because she just cussed me or called my name. All I doing was turn the heck of Jamal. They was like, one of the dudes knew me, said, man, that's all day. I said, yeah. So he said, hold up. He went back to talk to her. I don't know what they said to her. She came back in there so apologetic, so what's the name? That's it. When I left Slim, I swear to God, I tell my kids this. I feel so good. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? That I went and did it the legal way. Went there and talked to the joint, man. I say, man, I feel good about it, man.
And the officers work for you.
Right,
and that's what we got to realize. These officers get paid tax dollars to work for the community, man. That's even myself as a civic leader, as a politician, I work for the community. So we got to always keep that in front. When we forget that, we're going to misuse our power, man. And that's anybody.
Right, and it's a lot of, like I say, it's a lot of good officers in D.C. You just spoke of one. You know, the chief, you know what I'm saying? Watch them grow up. You know, I know a lot of them, man. You know, so it's like we need to find a way to bridge that relationship. I don't know how to do it, but sometimes we just got to find a way to work on getting better, where people can feel comfortable with telling their truth. You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes people raise up, they got the truth to help them. I ain't saying no other stuff in the court. I'm just saying on the crime scene, far as getting some help for a little baby or a little girl, we got to be able to translate that communication where it can happen so people can be saved, right?
Out the park, niggas know me. Curb on, little homie. All days.
Thank you for watching Changing Jewels on Kirkbone TV. If you like the jewels that we are dropping, subscribe, hit the notification, and share with some friends. And I'll see you on the next episode of Changing Jewels, Kirkbone TV.